differential carriers mounted in the vise. And there are 8 bolts that I took out. They were 19 millimeter. These are the 7/16. I think they had some smaller 1/2 inch on some of the older models. So anyway, the ring sits right in here. All I did was take a blow hammer like this and just tap along the edge. Gave it a couple good whacks, and the ring dropped out like that. And then what I did was take this out of here. It's a little tricky to do with one hand. Okay, and then what I did was take the ring over here, got brake clean, got it all straightened or all cleaned up, and I took a rubbing stone. Let me get it. Once I took the ring off and cleaned it up, teeth look good on here. I'm going to reuse it. I took my sharpening stone, and I actually went across like this to knock any burrs that might be on here down. So when this goes onto the new carrier, it's going to sit flat. So basically that's what I did. Made sure all these thread bolts, you know, they had fluid in them. A lot of metallics here. I had to get them all out, flushed them, and used one of these. Same thing you'd sharpen your blades with, or your chisels, wood chisels. So anyhow, that's that step. Then all right, I'm going to explain to you what I did here. This had the axle seal. This is the old one, and then a bearing in there. So the bearings look all right, but I know there was a lot of metal floating in there. So anyway, that's in there, deep in there, and then the seal's in front of it. I'll show you on the other side how I pull it out, but I am going to explain to you how I got them out. On my I got a 5-pound slide hammer here, right? There's a hook. So I just took this, went on the inside lip of the seal, smacked the slide hammer out, yanked the seal out. You could pull the seal out with a screwdriver or a seal tool. I have one of those too. And then what you do is, to get the bearing out, this will be easier to show you off the car. And to get the bearing out, you unthread this adapter here and screw this adapter. And it came in the kit. There's 3 of them. This is the smallest one. That's threaded. That just threads onto the rod here. And then this thing flops out like this. So what you do is you slide it in behind the bearing, pop it out like that, and then start slamming your slide hammer out. So it goes in like this. Let me set the camera down and I'll show you. Okay, so this is how this would work. If this bearing is in the axle and my hand is the axle, this tool goes in like this all the way through, and then behind it, what you don't see is that opens up and grabs on like this. So now it's locked in there. So as you're pulling your hammer out, you're pulling this away. Simple enough. And that's how that works. So I'll get some footage on the other side. I already did the passenger side. We'll go do the driver's side. Alright, got the hook on here. Let's grab that seal. Start taking it apart. Get a beat on it a little bit here. That's the inner. Let's get the outer part of the seal now. There it comes. There it goes. So that's out. And now I'll change the attachment and put this one on here. Alright, thread this part on. Alright, you can see how that roller bearing works, where the axle rolls inside here. So now I'll place this inside, just like I showed you earlier, and we'll start sliding the slide out, the hammer pulling straight back. There it comes. That's it. It's out. Makes easy work. If you don't own this tool, you can rent them. It's worth it. Alright, now there's a bunch of junk, old gear oil and contaminated oil down here in the axle tube. So since the pumpkin's still open, the differential's still open back there, what I'll do is take some of the spray brake cleaner. I'm going to spray this right in there, saturate it pretty good. And then I'm going to take some rags. I'm going to shove them in here in the axle tube like this. Just like that. Oop. Just like that. That's kind of snug now. And then I'm going to take a 4-foot, just a regular, paint stick or mop stick, broomstick, whatever you got. Wood side in. I'm using wood so it won't scratch. And then all I'm going to do is, just like a gun barrel, I'm going to push this all the way through until you see it pop out the other side over here. So I'm going to do that a few times. I'll do that a few times, and I'll change the rags in between because they're pretty nasty. And we'll do it on both sides. That way we know the axle's nice and clean. Here it comes. So that's that. Alright, so I wanted to compare the old carrier with the new one. See how nice and smooth this is and even. And the bearings get pressed on the end. And this is where this is down like an 1/8 inch. Really bad. That should not be like that. It should be like this. So when that bearing spun, it wore that down. And that was all that side-to-side play. Anyhow, I got the new spider gears in. There's a washer, a concave shaped, like cup shaped washer that sits behind this one and this one that are on the pin. You can see it right down by my nail here, right down there. There's one there. And then these side gears that are splined, where the axles come in from both sides, these have a washer that fit behind them also. There's a washer, you can barely see it. It's right back here, and there's one here. Get some light on it for you. So they're in there. And then of course a new pin bolt to hold all this together, just like we saw earlier. I don't have it tightened down yet, but I will. Time to put the bearing and the seal in. We're on the right rear passenger side. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the inside of the axle tube for lubricant. Let me get this started. I'll make sure it goes in straight. Take my old bearing, start tapping. This is the one I took out. I'm just going to go back and forth. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. My hand's not too much in the way. I'm just going to keep working it around. I had the bearing in the freezer overnight to help out. So that shrinks it down a little bit. Trying to make things easier. nicely. It's almost there. Looking good. I think that's it. Plenty of oil. You don't want these to be dry when you first start moving. There we go. That's good. I don't have to get too crazy on it. The way I like to put the bearings in, there's writing on one edge. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but right along the edge here. And like this says USA. See if I can catch it with the light. Anyway, on the back it's smooth. So I just they're the same either way, but I put the smooth in the back. That way, if you pop your seal and you need a part number and a bearing, you got it. All right, well, here's the seal. And it's stamped part number 12,001 right at the top here. So the new seal is different than the old seal. The old seal had a lip on it like this. You see this lip back here on this edge? The new seal does not, the replacement, and that's fine. So it goes in like this. You wouldn't want to put it in this way. That's backwards. So we get that started. You want to be careful when you drive these in that you don't damage the rubber, the black rubber center, the seal, the actual seal. I'm going to use a nylon hammer here just to get it started. Tap on the outside, oops, tap on the outside edge. Oh boy. I take my seal driver. This is a little bit larger in diameter than the seal itself. Set that in the center. Take my hammer and I'll start tapping this around. There we go. Done. Okay, and what I'll do now is I'll load up the seal here with some grease. I'll just put some grease inside there so that when we put the axle in, it won't be dry. It's got a little bit of lubricant on it, but give it a little added security. My high temp grease here, just take a little bit of this, just put it right on the inside here. It was probably tougher to get the seal to start, to get it in there, than it was the bearing. Bearing went in pretty smoothly. So when the rear end's back together, the differential, we'll take our axle, slide it through, be real careful, hold it, stabilize it, so when you put it through it doesn't nick this or bend the spring in here. There's a spring behind this rubber piece.
We want to repeat the process on the other side, and then we'll go ahead and get the ring gear on, the carrier bearings on, and we'll be ready to start fitting that inside the axle housing.